Let me tell you a story. One time I was attending beauty college to become a cosmetologist, specifically a hairdresser. And of course, I was one of probably two or three guys amongst 30. The rest, of course, were women. And I had a great time with those people. Yeah, really did. We were all sitting around. Everybody was just kind of a weird moment. Everybody was quiet. They weren't talking. Everybody was just kind of, tapping their foot, twiddling their thumbs, not really looking around. And at the right moment, I waited. It seemed prompted for some weird reason inside of me. I said, "Everyone is dead," and everybody laughed really hard. That was cool. That was one of the most memorable times of my life, really. Yeah. Oh, here's another one. You want to hear another story? Okay. One time I was working at a cafeteria. It's my first job, dishwasher. Loved that job. Oh, God, it was fun. We were all pretty much the same age, most of the workers, teenagers, 16, 17. And with a few adults and a few older people. Anyway, there was actually only one black person that worked there. And this was in I wouldn't say well-to-do, it was middle class suburb of St. Louis. Anyway, I was in my my area of work, the dishwashing room. It had a door, and it was cut off, from the rest of the building. And this black guy's name was Chester. He was deaf, but he could read lips really well. Anyway, so he walks in, and everybody hears this. I don't know why I said it. It just came out of me. He walked in. I said, "A black man," and that was just. I'm proud of that moment. That was a funny time. Want to hear another story? Yeah, back when I was in elementary school, 6th grade. Us kids one time went to Showbiz Pizza Place for some kind of field trip or something. I don't know. It was kind of a weird one. We were all a little bit too old for that place. I think, really, looking back, yeah, we were a little too old for it. But Showbiz Pizza Place is now called Chuck E. Cheese's. All right. Anyway, they had an arm wrestling machine there. And you could basically, dial in, the strength you wanted to arm wrestle at. And it was just a wooden arm and a picture of, with a wrestler that had a mask on. It wasn't very pretty. It was quite an ugly looking machine, really, in its functions. Anyway, they put the strength of the machine at a pretty good level, pretty high level. And there were 3 of us just holding that arm back. And the motor's going, it's just go slowly, winding, down because it can't hold it. We're actually winning. The thing's going like that. And it was just this is one of those things you just remember. I don't know. It was funny. Want to hear another story? One time in a circle of friends, me and a friend of mine, a real close friend of mine, we both had pretty much the same kind of sense of humor as far as what we like and what we find is funny. And we would joke about the other people in the circle, and he said kind of like, this is what I would say. I think it'd be funny if this was said to this. This is how I feel, or I think this would be funny if I said this to him, but you never would, because it was really pretty. Yeah, it was in the face, really in the face remark. Anyway, so I remember that. I thought it was funny. What he said was really funny. We're just joking now. We wouldn't do it. He wouldn't. All right. We're all in his basement. His parents are gone. And the fridge is loaded with Budweiser. To the brim. We're joking around. Having fun. And the host, of course, the guy that lives at in that house, who actually when me and that friend of mine were joking, he was the actual target of that remark. The timing is perfect. He says something, the host, and it's just, I don't know. He said, why don't we do this, or something. And I said the remark, and I said it in a really snide, smart-ass tone. Shut up and give me another one of your mom's beers. Oh my God. My friend didn't ever think I'd ever pull it off, that I would do it. He laughed so hard. And I'm just watching around. And that guy that was targeted got wised up super quick on that mark. On that remark, he goes, he got paranoid, actually. He started thinking, are you guys plotting against me? You come here to, just to drink, Anyway, the audacity, oh my God, was so thick. I look back, the audacity of that remark. Yeah, I would never do that again to somebody's face. Never. Yeah, I was a kid, it was funny back then. It's funny now in a way, but yeah. Want to hear another story? All right, I've got two left. I saved my best two instances for the best for last. All right. I worked at a pizza place. Loved that job. My most favorite job in my life so far. Loved it. Had a blast. Honestly, I really adored the owners of that place. It was a family-run shop. The shop was located in a city that was just outside, on the outskirts, outside the boundary of where I lived in the county, St. Louis County. It was located in a city that was South County people considered it, the Hoosier city. It was Hoosierish, yeah. Lower in economic class, most of it. Some of it, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we'd have never encountered some people that were just really just rude. I mean, rude on the phone when we would take orders sometimes, or they would complain about something. They're rude, downright. Just some of them just animalistic. And this one time, this guy he just calls up. He says, "Where's my fucking pizza?" And we're just like, the manager, just like the owner's son. He's like, "Sir, well, what's your address, so we can see what time we receive the order?" The guy says, "Where's my fucking pizza?" Again. the boss's son on the phone. Just is tired of dealing with this guy. Tired of it. He says, he's on the phone. He goes, your piece will be ready in 10 hours, sir. And hangs up. Oh my God. Totally warranted. All right, last one. Yeah, same place, the pizza shop. This happened at a kind of a slow period at night, about, I would say, between 9 and 10, when business had trailed off. This guy calls up and asks for a certain sandwich. Of course, I make the sandwich and give it to the delivery driver to have delivered, done. And I fabricate a story of what I did. And I tell my boss, and I'm telling him, I go, yeah, that guy just called. Yeah, he said no tomatoes. No tomatoes on the sandwich. I'm allergic to them. I cannot ingest them. I'm going on telling him, I said, I go, you know what I did? I squeezed a tomato into a cup, got the juice out, and poured it on the sandwich on top. On obviously the inside of the sandwich. Poured it on the contents and put the bread on. So, and I made sure I poured some juice on the bread too, so it would really I saturated the bread as much as I could. I figured, well, if he's allergic to tomatoes, he wouldn't like the juice either. Yeah, my boss is kind of going, man. He just kind of looks at me like, like, why did you do that? That was a bad, borderline, probably evil thing to do. He goes, I hope nothing happens to that guy. I really don't. Anyway. I don't know. I mean, you know what? This is so weird. The phone rings just at the right time after that guy had received his sandwich and probably took a couple bites into it. And I answer it. In fact, I might have actually called the store from a phone and answered it on the other phone somehow. I don't know. Either way, he's standing on my right. And I'm on the phone. I go, blah, 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 blah. Well, can I help you? And I hang up the phone after about 10 seconds. And my boss goes, who was that? I go, I don't know. Well, all I heard was, and we laughed so hard. He laughed. Oh my God. That was probably, oh my God, I love that. That was just great. Yeah.